Welcome to Let's Talk Cabling, the award-winning podcast where knowledge is power and the low voltage industry connects. Hosted by Chuck Bowser, RCDD, we're here to empower installers, designers, and industry pros with the tips, stories, and best practices you need to stay ahead. From copper to fiber, standards to innovation, this is the show that keeps you plugged into success. So grab your tools, turn up the volume, and let's talk cabling. Let's talk cabling, your source for low voltage expertise and connection.
Wednesday night, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That can only mean one thing. Live after hours with your favorite RCDD. You know that's me. You know that's me, your favorite RCDD. We have an action-packed show tonight. Action-packed. I have 20 questions. 20 questions I have to get through in 30 minutes. Yes. So it's going to be a fun one. But, you know, we always start off with, what are you drinking? What are you drinking? Of course, you know me, I'm drinking my Zevia. This time tonight I'm drinking Cola Zevia, but I got it poured into my cup though. I don't have it in here. So I've had people actually accuse me of drinking moonshine. No, this is Zevia water mix. So tell us in the tell us in the chat box, what are you drinking tonight? Kaylin's drinking water. You can never have too much water, right? Let me see. I got to turn on the chat box so we can see people advertising. Yeah, Shotzi's in the house. And of course, Shotzi's drinking Diet Dr. Pepper. Diet Dr. Pepper. Yep. All right, so let's do the acronym challenge. Oh, this is going to be a good one. This is going to be a good one. Tonight's acronym, SPL. SPL. What does that acronym mean? That's the acronym challenge for tonight. I'll give you a hint. This week in the RCDD study group, we're going through the AV section of the TDMM, the AV chapter. So it has something to do with AV. SPL. Tyler says Senior Patrol Leader. Nope, that's not what it means. That's not what it means. SPL. Anybody else want to take a guess on that? It stands for Sound Pressure Level. SPL. Sound Pressure Level. So there you go. Did you catch Monday's episode? I had a friend on, another author, the third author in the 3 years on this podcast. And this author wrote a book on how to do sales in the low voltage industry, whether you're selling products or you're selling your business services. So, it's actually, the name is, it's Sales by the Book. He's a Christian. So he's applying biblical values onto sales, for low voltage. That was Monday's episode. I've got some really cool stuff coming up. I do. I've got a 2-part series coming up. It's called So You Want to Start Your Own Low Voltage Business. Who in this industry has not thought about starting their own low voltage business, right? And here's the thing, right? It's not as easy as you think it is. So I've never started my own low voltage business. So what I did is I'm actually going to I've already recorded it. I had 3 panelists. Each one of these 3 panelists has their own low voltage business. So we asked them things like, what inspired you to do it? What are your biggest challenges? What do you wish you knew beforehand? Originally, I thought it was only going to be a 1-episode show. I try to keep my shows to 30 to 45 minutes in that ballparkish range. We were at an hour and 15 minutes. And I was like, man, we're still going. Daryl's in the house. Daryl, the RCDD. So we broke it up into 2 episodes. So next Monday night will be part 1 of So You Want to Start Your Own Low Voltage Business. The next one after that will be part 2. And then I've got a special episode coming on, tips on being a good trainer. And we have a good friend, Trevor, from Australia, from down under, a fellow RCDD, fellow trainer. We're going to talk about tips about being a good trainer. I've also got another episode that's going to be recorded here soon for designing, installing surveillance cameras. That's going to be cool because, again, that's one of my that's not one of the areas I'm not really strong in because I know people do it. I could probably figure it out, but it's not what I do for a daily living, right? So again, like I said, we have 20 questions to get through tonight. 20 questions, and it's 6:04, so we have 26 minutes to do this. Okay, here we go. Let's get this going. First question comes from MJ Delgado on TikTok, and their question was, "What's the real difference between Cat 5e and Cat 6 cabling?" Now, I forgot to tell you, some of these questions tonight, I think, are from either entry level people or people doing their own networking, right? So, but I feel it's a good information that we need to go over. So, what is the difference between Cat 5e and Cat 6 cabling? So, Cat 5e is rated up to 100 megahertz. Cat 6 is rated up to 250 megahertz. Now, both Cat 5e and Cat 6 are rated to do 1 gig all the way up to the 295 feet. Okay, they're both rated to do that. So that always kind of begs the question, why should you go with Cat 6 cabling? Cat 6 cabling has more headroom. So that's going to help you if you've got a new technician who may not know, oh, I can't untwist the pairs too much. Dave's in the house. What's happening, Dave? Um, Physically, there are some differences. Cat 5e, generally speaking, is going to be 24 gauge. There are some other gauge Cat 5es, but the vast majority of them are going to be 24 gauge. Cat 6 is going to be 24 gauge as well too. I can't remember if there's any 23 gauge Cat 6 cables. I'll have to go look that up. Cat 6 cables, we're going to have tighter twists because they're performing up to that 500 megahertz. And remember, when it comes to 100 megahertz for Cat 5e, 250 megahertz for Cat 6, remember the think of the megahertz as lanes in a highway. The more lanes in a highway, the more traffic. Since it's 250 has more lanes, it can do more data across it. Now the thing is, so they can both do 1 gig out to that full 295 feet, and Cat 6, Cat 6 can do 10 gig to about 37 to 55 meters, or 109 feet to about 180 feet. So the good thing about the Cat 6 is it's going to give you lower near-end crosstalk, lower power sub near-end crosstalk, which means you're going to have more error-free links, especially if you've got PoE running on that cable as well. Now the delta here is Cat 6 is going to be a little bit more expensive than Cat 5e. It's a little bit heavier, so you can pay a little bit more for shipping. It's a little bit heavier, so it's going to take a little bit longer to install it. But if you're trying to decide between Cat 5e or 6, especially if it's in a residential kind of thing, I would go with Cat 6 because it gives you a little bit more future proofing. Okay. The next question number 2, comes from Ty Harris. He sent this to me via email. And he says, do I really need Cat 6A, or is Cat 6 fast enough for 10 gig? Now, Cat 6A is rated to do 10 gig out to that full 100 meters or 328 feet for the channel, or 295 feet for the permanent link if you so desire. But Cat 6 can also do 10 gig, like I said, out to that 37 to 55 meters. The reason it's not really a hard number because it really depends on how well you installed it, what environment you installed it in, and did you install it near any potential sources of noise? That all can affect that, right? So Cat 6A, a lot of times is going to have a full wrap around it. Sometimes it's going to have a cross-up separator, although there are some Cat 6As that don't have that. And Cat 6A is twisted even tighter than Cat 6. And Cat 6A is it's going to have better thermal bundle ratings than Cat 6 because it's 23 gauge, where it's a bigger conductor. The problem is Cat 6A cable is going to be a little bit bigger than Cat 6 cable, so make sure you check your fill ratios. Make sure you check your bend radiuses. Right, fill ratios. A lot of people like to talk about the 40% fill ratio number. So if you go with so there are some what's called reduced outside diameter Cat 6A cables, which can be 0.23, 0.24, 0.25 OD, which is almost the same size as Cat 5e, right? So the rule of thumb is, in office environments, multiple dwelling units, go Cat 6A. If you're doing home and the wall's going to be closed up afterwards, then yeah, I would go with the Cat 6A. So I mean, so that way, because it's easier to do it once, not twice. Question number 3. This comes from Logan McKenzie from TikTok. They go, what speed can Cat 5e, Cat 6, and Cat 6A all support? So I already gave you the frequencies they're rated up to. Cat 5e is 100, Cat 6 is 250, Cat 6A is 500. The higher the frequency, the more lanes, the more traffic it can handle. So Cat 5e is rated by the standards to do 1 gig out to 100 meters. It can do 2.5 gig out to about 50 meters, and it can do 5 gig out to about 30 meters. So the general rule of thumb is with bandwidth and copper cabling, the more bandwidth you put across the cable, the shorter that cable has to be, unless you change something about the physical characteristics of that cable. So for most home environments, right? So if you run cable in your house, most of those runs are going to be less than 100 feet. 100 feet, right? And so if you do that, you can easily run on Cat 5e. You could probably easily run 2.5 gig. Easily run 2 gig. You might even be able to run. It's going to be borderline, but you might even be able to run 5 gig. So Cat 6 also rated to 1 gig, but it can do a 2.5 gig up to 55 meters. It can do 10 gig, again, about that 37 meters. Cat 6A, again, 10 gigs out to that full 295 feet. It can do 25 gigs up to about 30 meters. And Cat 6A is going to give you the most headroom. So the real limiting factor, though, is going to be the quality of the patch cords, the quality of the connector, the quality of the cable. But don't ever buy category rated cable from Amazon. Okay, go to Graybar, Westco, Annixter. Go to distribution. Okay, because Amazon's not going to help you if you have problems. Right. Question number 4 from Danielle Vargas. She sent it to me from LinkedIn. How far can Cat 6 carry 10 gig before the speed drops? I already answered that. 37 meters in the worst case scenario, 55 in the really low noise. But what's really going to, again, patch cords. Use high quality patch cords. And also stay, TJ's in the house. My future RCDD. Also, if you're doing cabling in homes, pay attention to temperature. Cable doesn't like high temperature. It's rated to be in high temperature. The higher the temperature, the performance gets impacted. So again, I'm assuming from Danielle's question that this is inside of a house, right? So if you're running it through the attic, that's going to affect it. So question number 5 from Marcus Webb from LinkedIn. Is Cat 6 backwards compatible with older Cat 5e jacks and devices? Well, sure it is. Sure, you can terminate Cat 6 cable on a Cat 5e connector. It's an APHC, A position, A contact. What will happen though is you're only going to be as good as your weakest link. So even though you got Cat 6 cable, you're still only going to get Cat 5e performance out of that. So if you start testing it with a permanent link tester, with a certifier, you're going to see that performance drop. PoE compatibility. Make sure that you follow the parameters for the class of the cable. All right, so that's really going to be what's going to happen. Question number 6 from Erica Gonzalez on Instagram, and she wants to know, what does the A stand for in Cat 6A, and what extra performance does it add? So it's generally accepted the A stands for augmented. Cat 6A stands for augmented. And that's because when they came out with Cat 6A, they doubled the frequency, as we mentioned already, from 250 to 500. But when you got into Cat 6A, we started finding a lot of alien crosstalk issues, right, with cable. Alien crosstalk is defined as one cable interfering with another cable as it goes down the cable pathway. So when they first came out with Cat 6A, like I mentioned on many, Alex is in the house, when I mentioned on many other episodes, alien crosstalk was an issue. But the cable manufacturers changed the cabling, and now you can do randomization, you can do cable combing. Oh, I can't wait to work on the podcast studio. I was supposed to do the conduit last weekend, but Mama wanted the cowboy pool done first. So we got the cowboy pool done first. So that way we can rest and relax. Question number 7. This comes from Trevor Foster from Clapper. Can Cat 5e or Cat 6 safely deliver power over Ethernet? So there are some limits set up by the IEEE. Up to type 4 is going to be all the way up to 90 watts, and that's permitted on on anything from 22 to 26 gauge copper. So Cat 5e, you can, like I said earlier, you can get Cat 5e cable in 23 gauge. Okay, you can. And that, so you can easily do that. You can get 24 gauge too, and it can do PoE as well. But the larger the conductor, the better it's going to handle the temperature and the current for PoE. Bundle size, there's two ways you can look at this. You can go to the code and look it up, 725 144. But the best practice from Bixie is 24 bundles or less. 24 bundles or less. Okay. Then make sure when you test it, make sure you verify that DC loop resistance, and you do your pair-to-pair imbalance test and make sure it's 0.1 ohm difference. Question number 8, Chris Brooks from YouTube. I misspelled YouTube on my notes. Whoops. When should you use shielded cabling versus unshielded cabling? The vast majority of the time in the United States, unshielded cable is fine. But Chuck, what about my house? It's fine. Okay. But Chuck, what about the office? It's fine. They twist the pairs at different rates to reduce those effects of EMI and RFI. The only time you're really going to need shielded cabling is A, if a customer requires it for some reason, or B, you're in some kind of environment that has a lot of EMI. My podcast studio, the neon lights, I got them turned down so they don't affect it. That's a lot of EMI. That could cause a problem. Hospitals have MRI machines, right? Casinos have the one-armed bandits. So the Cat 6A cable is going to give you that protection from the shielded cable is going to give you that protection from that EMI. But here's the problem: shielded cable will work better than unshielded cable in those noisy environments, provided you bond them to a ground correctly. Okay, you've got to bond both ends to a ground in order for that shielded cable to work properly. Termination skills. So now you got to deal with that shield. Make sure you follow the manufacturer instructions. That's gonna take a little extra time. Every shielded connector terminates a little bit differently, but they do have extra steps to deal with the foil shield and the drain wire. So make sure you do that. Okay. Question number 9 from Caleb from Thornton. He goes, is it worth paying extra for Cat 6 instead of Cat 5e in a small home or office? So here's the thing. He's asked about Cat 6 versus Cat 5e pricing. So Cat 6 is more expensive, but it's not as expensive as you think. It's not expensive as you think. I apply the John Deere rule when it comes to cabling. The John Deere rule. You might be wondering, what does that mean, Chuck? When I bought my tractor for the farm here, originally, when I went to the John Deere dealership, I was looking at like a 15 horsepower tractor. I don't have a big farm. This is a small little farm. And when I was talking to the sales guy, he said, look, nobody's ever complained about buying a bigger tractor. And so I did. I went to a bigger tractor. And I tell you what, I'm glad I did, because I could do more things. I didn't realize all the stuff I could do with it until I had the bigger tractor here. So same thing with cabling. It's going to be a little more, not much, but you're going to be able to do so much more with it. So why not go with Cat 6? It's cheaper to buy Cat 6 now and install it than put 5e in, and then a year, 2, 3 down the road, when it doesn't have enough bandwidth where you got to pull it out and put in Cat 6 cable. Why not just go Cat 6 now? Wi-Fi 7 APs, they're designed to push 10 gig back on. Since we're talking about homes, the distance are going to be the cable runs are going to be smaller or less lengthy. Cat 5e is going to bottleneck it. Cat 5e is going to bottleneck it. And here's another thing a lot of people don't think about, right? If you decide to sell your house, you might get more for it because you put Cat 6 cable in it, right? So why not go with Cat 6? Question number 10. Oh, this is going to be tight. I'm only at question number 10, and I'm 20 minutes into the show. Shannon Brooks, exactly what is Cat 6e, and is it an official standard? No, it's not an official standard. When you look up in the ANSI standard, it goes Cat 5e, Cat 6, Cat 6a, Cat 8. There is no Cat 6e. It's a marketing thing by a manufacturer. Is it a better performing cable than Cat 6? Yes. But there is no official ratings for Cat 6e in the ANSI standards. Now, the vendor claim they can do 10 gig up to 55 meters. Okay. So why not go Cat 6a? Right. So, but there's nothing in the table to do it. So best practice, just go Cat 6a. Question number 11. This comes from Gabe Ruiz, and this was sent to me a direct message. What is the maximum length for Cat 6 and Cat 6A? The maximum length is for permanent link, the cable from the connector on that faceplate to the patch panel, 90 meters. Okay. If you want to include the patch cords, that would be called the channel. That's 328 feet. Okay. Kalen's off to church. Thanks for stopping by, Mr. Kalen. But make sure that you test it correctly. Question number 12, Malik Johnson from TikTok. Can I mix Cat 5e and Cat 6 cables in the same network without any issues? Absolutely. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. You can mix them together in the same bundles. But remember, you're only going to get Cat 5e performance out of the Cat 5e cable, and you'll get Cat 6a performance out of the other cables. So you can absolutely mix them as long as you terminate the Cat 6 with Cat 6a connectors and your Cat 6a patch cords. And Cat 5e use 5e patch cords, 5e connectors. If you, like I said earlier, if you put the 5e connector or that 5e patch cord on that Cat 6 cable, you're going to have a very expensive 5e channel. So there you go. Question number 13. This comes from Dylan. Dylan Carpenter. It sent to me via LinkedIn. And he goes, which category cable do I need for 2.5 G base T or 5G? So you can, it depends on the distance you want to run it. As like we mentioned earlier, we already answered this question in the first couple questions. 2.5 gig. Cat 5e can do 2.5 gig up to 100 meters. No, take that back. 2.5 gig for Cat 5e. Hold on, let me go back, look at my notes up here. I know I had it up here somewhere. We'll figure it out later. So yeah, what I would do is go back up to question number 11. Where are you? There we go. Nope. No standards. There we go. There it is. Question number 11. So yes, you can run it on it, but the run's got to be shorter. Right? If you're going to be running 2.5 gig, I highly recommend starting off at least Cat 6. Maybe even go with Cat 6. You might be thinking it's an overkill, but again, it's like the old Amco commercial. You can pay us now, you can pay us later. It's cheaper to put it in now and not to deal with it later. Question number 14. This comes from Brandon Clark on Instagram. Do I need a Plenum rated cable or riser rated cable for my install, right? So that kind of really depends. It depends on the environment. If the area that you're running through is designated as a Plenum rated area, then you have to use Plenum rated cable, right? CMP, OFNP, OFCP for fiber if you're doing fiber. And a plenum area is defined as any compartment or chamber that's used to move air. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean a ductwork. That could be the space above the ceiling tile. It could be, the space underneath the floor in a data center. And by code, it's going to say, yes, you got to use plenum rated cables because it's a return air thing. So plenum cable produces less toxic off gases and smoke, right? CMP cable is going to cost more money. And, there's a lot of companies out there that will say, we just put in plenum cable everywhere. That way we don't have to worry about, if we put in the wrong kind of cable because plenum's accepted everywhere. That's kind of an expensive thing to do. It truly is. So try to use the right cable for the right spot. Hunter Blake from Instagram how much more does Cat 6A cost compared to Cat 6 and Cat 5e? So it kind of depends on how much you buy, where you buy, and the relationship you have with distribution or your local salespeople. As a general rule, Cat 6 is going to add about 15% to a Cat 5e price, and Cat 6a is going to add about 25 to 30%. When you start talking about the connectivity portion of it, Cat 6a jacks and patch panels are 1.5 to 2 times the price of Cat 6. But keep in mind, when you're going with Cat 6a, bigger cable, bigger pathways, you might need bigger J hooks, you might need bigger cable tray or bigger ladder rack. So that's going to add to the project too. You didn't tell me, what kind of environment you're installing it. Question number 16, Jose Ramirez. This sent to me via email. Will Cat 8 cabling future-proof my house, or is it just an overkill right now? Don't run Cat 8 cable in your house. It's a waste of money. It is a waste of money. If you really want to go future-proofing in your home, Cat 6A cable. All the major manufacturers make Cat 6A cable, Cat 6A connectors, Cat 6A patch panels. They're uniform. They're easy to do. Cat 8 is still, it still kind of has some issues, right? I mean, it's only limit first. It's only limited to like 30 meters, right? And you can only get 40 gig out of that 30 meters. But if you go with Cat 6A, Cat 6A can do 25 gig shorter distance. If it's in a house, that might be what you need to do. So, and here's the thing: show me a home network that's pushing 40 gig. Show me a home network that's pushing 25 gig, right? So stay away from Cat 8. It's really designed for data centers, not really designed for business. I mean for homes. Question number 17, Noel Vasquez from Twitter. I don't have a big following on Twitter. I'm still trying to crack that algorithm. But they want to know, does Cat 6 really reduce crosstalk and EMI better than Cat 5e? Yes, it does. Almost by 3 dB. Almost by 3 dB. So it's going to equal, Cat 6 cable is, Cat 6 cable is going to drop. We use it's called equal level foreign crosstalk, but they actually have another name for it now. It's going to drop that down, and that extra headroom gives you a little bit of leeway for as far as maybe a little bit noisy environment, maybe help get rid of issues with poor installers, and also think about you always got to think about PoE. You may not put PoE on it now, but you might in a year or so down the road, right? Future proofing a house is running conduit for everything. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Conduit or Smurf tube. Smurf tube. Yes. Question number 18. This comes from Isaac Torres on Instagram. Isaac wants to know, should I terminate my drops T568A or T568B? Does it matter? No. You can do A, you can do B. Just don't mix them, right? You can do A on both sides, you can do B on both sides. They both work equally well. The only difference is they flip the orange and the green pairs. Some people try to tell you one works better than the other because, well, you use the pins 1, 2, 3, and 6, and the orange is twisted tighter. It's malarkey. It's malarkey. I've tested it. It doesn't do that, right? Now, with residential installs, the recommendation from the standard is to use the A wiring scheme because it's backwards compatible for 2-line phone sets. Okay. Dylan Clark from TikTok. Do I have to certify Cat 6 or Cat 6A cables after the installation, or is a continuity test enough? Okay, if you're a homeowner putting Cat 6 cable, Cat 6A cable, you don't need to certify it. Right? If you're a small business where you're just doing, jobs for like the local, vet store or something like that, you probably don't need to certify. But if you're a professional doing it as a company, certification is the way to go. It's the norm. It's what most of the high quality installation companies will do. They'll certify the cables. It's going to provide you some protection if anything happens to that cable in the future. It's the birth record, as my good friend Ed, the old tech guy, will tell you. It's the birth record of that cable. So if anything happens to the cable afterwards, you can prove that the cable was right. Right? Is right. Okay, and then manufacturing. If you want with the manufacturer's warranty, you may be required to do may be required to do certification testing. Okay. Question number 20. I did it. 20 questions in 30 minutes. Fred Johnson, are copper-clad aluminum Cat 6 cables legal and safe to use? No, it's neither safe nor legal. Okay. Stay away from CCA cable. Copper-clad aluminum. Okay. Copper-clad aluminum means the center is aluminum. They put copper on the outside of it. The aluminum can become brittle. It can start to crack over a period of time. It's going to have a higher DC resistance if you do any kind of PoE. And keep in mind, most AHJs are going to fail you if you use copper-clad aluminum in inspections. Okay, and your insurance company may deny you as well. Now, here's the thing. You got to be careful because Amazon sells a lot of cable, and some of it's copper-clad aluminum. And sometimes you'll even find the box that even have the sticker that say ETL UL verified. That does not necessarily mean, Jay, who's in the house? That does not necessarily mean that UL sticker wasn't what's the word I'm looking for? Oh, the sticker wasn't not impersonated, fabricated, right? Fabricated. I did have a question come in here on tonight's show. What's the best way to get network in an elevator if running Cat 6 is not possible? Okay, well, why do you want to network in an elevator? Most times, elevators are only going to require um, telephone networks, right? So just regular, Cat 5e, Cat 6. Wi-Fi is going to be hard because the elevator is made out of metal. But if you can get a Cat 6 cable, a POTS cable to it, you should be able to get for a camera or an access point. That's a good point. That's actually a great point there, especially the camera, right? Um, so yeah, the same way you got that POTS cable to it, there should be a lot of times what will happen is the elevator people will tell you just to um, run a cable to their head end equipment, and then they'll make the connection to the serpentine cable that goes down to down to their elevator shaft. So there you go. That was all 31 questions in 30 minutes. I did it. I did it. I did it. Yes. Yes. All righty. I don't know what Mama's cooking out there, but boy, does it smell delicious. It smells delicious. So until next time, everybody, remember, knowledge is power.
Thanks for listening to Let's Talk Cabling, the award-winning podcast where knowledge is power and the low-voltage industry connects. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with your crew. Got questions or ideas for the show? Chuck wants to hear from you. Stay connected, stay informed, and always aim for excellence. Until next time, keep those cables clean, your standards high, and your future bright. Let's talk cabling.